Hi everyone, in this video I'll be showing how to create a JUnit test case to test a method that you're going to write. In this example I've got a project, JUnit demo project, containing a class client.java containing a static method SumEven. When I say static, it means that this method can be called directly on the class as client.SumEven without having to create objects of the class. Now, to create a test for this method that we're going to complete after we write the test, click on the client.java in the package explorer, right click and choose New JUnit test case. You can choose what kind of test case it is, JUnit 3, 4 or Jupyter, which is 5. I'm choosing Jupyter. It names it and also knows which class to test. Do not finish. Click on Next because you need to choose the method that should be tested. In this case, it's SumEven. When you choose Finish, it's going to prompt you to add it to the library. That's the library to the build path. So you add JUnit 5 library to the build path and click OK. It creates a test which clearly fails. Now I've already created a set of test cases for our test. I'm going to just paste them here. I've created 4 test cases for array A, B, C, and empty. The first is a very simple test case because each item is an even number, so the sum of these numbers should be 18. In the second case, none of them are even numbers, so the sum of the even numbers should be 0. In the third case, there is a mix of it, and the even numbers are 4, -10, and 2000 that add up to 1994. If an empty array is parsed, it should check that correctly as well. And for the sake of completeness, you can also test if it handles null arrays correctly. So if you have an array, null array, which is null, then the sum of the even numbers in the null array, which hasn't been instantiated at all, should be 0 as well. So now we try and implement this this method. We say the result is 0. Go through every item, and I'm going to make a deliberate mistake where I'll just add each item to the result without checking if it's even or odd. Return result. Go back to the test, and when you run this, first of all, you'll get an error for the first test case. So you can see over here, assertion failed, expected 0 but was 7 on line number 15. The first test case passes because they are all even and they were all added to the sum, which is okay. But in the second case, none of them were even, but they are added to the sum. So we forgot to check that the number, that the item remainder 2 should be 0, which means it is even. We go back to the test and run this. Now our test fails because of a null pointer exception on client line 15, but on the client test line 24. So it's the last test that's failing. So think about what happens. What you're doing is you're passing this null array, which is null, to the method, which means in the method, this array ARR is null, which means when you try to access a null array's length, it throws a null pointer exception, which means before you do anything, you have to check if the array is null. In this case, you shouldn't check its length, you shouldn't check its items, you should immediately return 0. We go back to the test, run it again, and you get a green bar, which means your implementation passes the tests. It may not necessarily mean that it's correct in complex circumstances, but at least it means that it passes the test. So that's about JUnit tests, and I'll see you again very soon. Thank you.